The absence of love and the root of unhappiness. Most people are unhappy, not because of external circumstances, not because of poverty or failure, but because there is no love in their hearts. We have reduced life to a mechanical pursuit of pleasure, ambition, and material gain, yet we find ourselves deeply unsatisfied, restless, and perpetually seeking. Why? Because we have forsaken the very essence of what makes life meaningful: love. Love is not merely attachment. It is not possession. It is not something to be sought after like a prize. Love is a state of being. It is the very nature of existence itself, untainted by desire, untouched by self-interest. Yet we have been conditioned to see love as a transaction, as something that must be earned, possessed, or controlled, and in that very conditioning, we have lost it. Look around you. Our world is filled with division, conflict, and suffering. We are taught from childhood to compete, to conquer, to be better than others. We are taught to fear, to conform, to obey. We are taught that success is more important than sincerity, that power is more valuable than kindness. And in this pursuit of self-glorification, we have built walls around our hearts. We no longer know how to love. Love does not belong to the ambitious, nor does it thrive in the mind of the self-centered. Love cannot be cultivated by force, nor can it be manufactured through effort. Love exists only in the absence of fear, ego, and selfish desire. And yet our lives are dominated by these very things. We are afraid of being vulnerable, afraid of rejection, afraid of losing control. So we close our hearts, and in doing so, we create our own suffering. You may ask, how does one find love? How does one break free from this unhappiness? The answer is simple, yet profoundly difficult. You must undo the conditioning of your mind. You must observe yourself, question your beliefs, and understand the barriers you have built against love. Love is not something that can be cultivated through effort, but it is something that can be revealed when the mind is quiet, when the self is absent. To love is to see without judgment, to feel without fear, to exist without the weight of the past. It is to embrace life fully without demanding anything in return. When you love in this way, unhappiness dissolves, not because life becomes easier, not because the world changes, but because you have ceased to resist what is. Most people are unhappy because they live in constant resistance to pain, resistance to uncertainty, resistance to their own vulnerability. But when love is present, there is no resistance, only acceptance, only deep understanding. You may say, but the world is cruel. How can one love in the face of so much suffering? And I say to you, love is the only thing that can dissolve suffering. The moment you meet the world with love instead of fear, with compassion instead of judgment, you cease to be a victim of circumstance. You become free. So I ask you not to seek love, not to chase after it as though it were something outside of yourself, but to look within and see what is preventing you from loving. Is it your fear, your pride, your past wounds? Observe these things without condemnation, without justification, and you will begin to understand. Love is not something to be practiced, it is something to be realized. And when you realize it, unhappiness disappears, not because life has given you what you want, but because you no longer demand anything from life. Let love flow freely, without attachment, without expectation, without fear. For when love is present, the mind is quiet, and in that quietness there is peace.